Why, hello there. Thanks for stopping by. You're about to check out an episode of the Freddie and Alyssa show. But before you do, I wanted to remind you to subscribe to the channel. This way you don't miss any future videos that are coming. You can just click the link below. Boom, subscribe. You'll be all set. Now enjoy the episode. Now it's just Venmo.
Yeah. Do you take Venmo?
Yeah.
You take Venmo?
Our building
I had
does.
somebody the other day ask me what Venmo was, and I was like, huh? What? What do you mean what Venmo was? That turned into like an hour-long conversation. I was floored.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean you don't know what Venmo is?
How do you give money to?
Yeah.
How do you send money?
It's like trying to pay people with a check now. They're like, what is this? What do you want me to do with this?
Yeah.
The worst is in a grocery store line. When someone's in front of you writing a friggin' check.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
in
it.
a long time.
It's been a long time.
Same.
Yeah, I just sit there and I smile because they always look back. I'm sorry. Or like, I'm like,
You gotta get in
but
there.
deep down, I'm
you
like,
gotta be like, what is this? What are you doing? What is that thing? Is that a check?
get a debit card. Swipe
Come
it.
on, man.
Let's
What is
move
that, a
on.
check?
We got shit to do.
That was me when I was like 19. I would go and I'd plan out with my paychecks. I'm like, okay, so I'll have the money in my account on Friday. So if I went Wednesday, I was like, it's not going to be cashed until, say, Saturday. And I would literally plan that out so I could cover all my groceries.
I'm so bad
So
at
I was
money.
that annoying person sitting there writing my checks.
So you did it.
At the grocery store.
You guys talk a lot about money, right? Like about with your
All the
your pivot principle stuff. Is that
Some of, not too much there, but in general, I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I think because I'm just like built in a numbers kind of way. Like I'm fascinated with anything numbers, which is money. And I think you heard the story. I don't remember. I won't repeat the whole story on the podcast, but we had money stolen from us in 2015 from a business manager. Yeah.
From who?
A business manager who was doing all my taxes, all the bills and whatever. So essentially my whole relationship with money became, because I grew up like upper middle class in my hometown, like never went hungry, always had new school clothes, like great life. When I moved out here, got a job, but was always just like broke. And then when I got on days, started booking commercials, like I made some great money. And in 2014, I was like, wow, like I don't have to look at prices in the grocery store. I can buy flights. I can I was like, oh, money, this is convenient. And then I found out that my business manager wasn't paying my taxes for 3 years, and the checks that were going towards taxes was going into her pocket. So not only did she steal like 60 grand, but I owed 3 years worth of taxes plus the penalties plus the current year that I was actually working on. So we went from having money to like over 6 figures in debt back in 2015. And then it took us 2 years to climb out of that. And then the past like 2 years we've been, prospering. But we went from like no money to really no money to money again. And during that 8 years, it gave me just an interesting perspective on money of not having it, and really not having it, and then having some again. And as we're growing, I'm just fascinated by it because I think it essentially what it does, we weren't less happy when we had to move back to a crappy 1-bedroom and had to but life was more inconvenient. More money creates less inconvenience. Your life becomes more convenient with more money if you're smart with it, is what I've found in my experience. That
Absolutely.
It makes things easier, but like to that, like on Dak Shepard podcast, he talks about that. Like, okay, you have everything now. Are you happy? Like, that's not my case. Like, that's not my relationship with money. I mean, I'll spend addictively too. I'll and it won't make me happy. Like, it's nice now that like being married, like, to have security. I mean, I never had money growing up. Like, for me, like a way like that I got love was like you get a new pair of jeans maybe, and you're like, holy, a new pair of Tommy Hilfigers. Are you kidding me? My life is awesome. I'm so loved. So now I've had to change that, especially as I got sober. Like I had to change my relationship, and even now, like I have to be mindful about all of it. But it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't. It's almost another thing for me to find shame in. Weirdly enough.
it can do. I think it's. But I think there are conveniences though that. Like anytime you hear someone who's super wealthy too, like you'll hear certain like rich people worth 100 mil being like, yeah, money ain't nothing. It's like, no, but you're also flying first class, which is more convenient. You have someone doing your grocery shopping that's more convenient. Like it doesn't make you happy, but like when we were living in that 1-bedroom, it was so old that like bugs would come in through the windows and we had to put paper towels in the window seals to keep bugs out. The wall air conditioning unit was so crappy. We had to put the mattress sometimes in the living room with a fan in front of it and sleep and wake up and go on shoot Days of Our Lives. Like I had an Emmy on the thing. We were sleeping on a mattress in this one bedroom with a fan in front of this
in our
old
bed, like legit.
That's crazy, right?
It was like crazy. And then like the coin laundry was a pain in the ass. People's clothes. I'm like, whose clothes are these? It's done. Like what? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like goes away when you have a little more money. Like that's my whole take. It's like the convenient part, but I don't believe I'm with you on the happiness thing.
Yeah.
Going to that though, from having more of a comfortable life and not having the coin laundry and having like, didn't we have before that maybe the 2-bedroom, or was it the 3-bedroom?
That was a 2-bed.
Yeah, we were like living really comfortably and excited, and you know, then you go to that, and like you said, it's not that we were unhappy. I just think it was conveniences, and I don't know. I think it's going from having a little bit more of a comfortable life, then going back to that, and then you're like, well, that was great though.
Yeah.
And like even having an environment like where we live now, being able to have a podcast studio, like it does something for my soul. And you know, every day I'm a little more excited because I'm like, oh, let's go and shoot something, as opposed to waking up, you know, on the mattress in the living room, sweating our buns off. Like,
I mean, so I think my dad said this to me. He's like, I would rather be unhappy and rich than unhappy and poor.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's legit.
hell yeah. I mean,
there you go. That sums it up. Yeah.
But I've done, like I said, like, I don't know if we don't think we were rolling it, but you know, when I lived on the sailboat, I was either living in my car or I had a buddy who had a sailboat. It was $300 a month. There wasn't a bathroom on the thing. I had to get up, you know, go up, and I had to shower in this community shower. You get up there and there'd be like, you know, a homeless person sleeping in one of the stalls on a nightly. You know, it's like, I had to throw away everything I pretty much owned except for I had some T-shirts and some jeans.
And this was when?
This was before I booked Days of Our Lives. So when I booked Days of Our Lives, I was living on the sailboat.
That is crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah.
But I was the most peaceful I'd ever been. It was the most because, and now I have peace in a different way. But I think like with money, there's more stress because like, again, I would rather have it than not have it. You know, and it's easier. Things are easier for us than probably a lot of other people. But it like there's a whole other level of fear that I have because I the way I grew up and the way that I live in constant fear of like losing things. And if I have it, I'll lose it. And then if I lose it, everybody will leave. You know, then you go down the thing, and either way, I end up alone and you know, drunk and you know whatever. So I don't know. There's something that's like it instills in me, which is why like I think it also builds a level of drive because you're like I have to keep, you know, I can't lose. Like I work. My drive comes from a place of fear and try to please people. It always has been. Like if I can just be the best hockey player, then my mom will love me. If I can, you know, if I can succeed, then I can show all of you, and you guys will all love me and think that I'm great. And you know, everything else, like I don't know, like not much has changed. I still get things because I'm like, oh, that's what you do.
Yeah, but you do that. But is that something that you feel now, or is that something you used to feel, or is that how you still like you still have that fear of like always. And then I need to
on
like
a daily basis.
If I don't win, if I don't continue to succeed, this will happen.
Yeah, I mean it's like there's people who operate from different places. You know, like a big drive for me was pain. Pain and like fear propelled me more than I feel like love and
pleasures or
whatever that like it was. I'll show you as opposed to, you know, you know, different. I don't know what that is like, and not to say I didn't have love, like I did, like you know, but there's something now, like even where like I constantly argue with. Like now I have to ask myself questions when I do things. Why do I want to do this? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this out of fear? Am I doing this out of shame? And I have to kind of create this whole thing and like almost have like a spiritual experience with every decision I make. Because if I don't, I end up, I know that the outcome isn't going to be good for me.
Yeah.
Because the way that I've chose, like a lot of the times with fears, I'm going to check out. in every way I can. Not that that's always been the case, but it became that.
But now you're aware of it.
I was going to say, at least you're aware that's the first.
So like now, you ask, do I still have that? No, I'm pretty peaceful now. But I'm aware that my mind will try to take me to a place that is very unhappy. Like there's something in me that drives myself towards wanting to be alone and wanting to like be filled with shame, or there's this thing like it's where I'm most comfortable. So like for example, like when I left Days the first time, I was in a pretty bad place. You and I worked together for years. I don't know how much you knew, but it wasn't very it wasn't good. So when I left, I still had money. I still like I had more money than I'd had ever in my life, and I wanted to kill myself. It became a thing where when I like sat down, you know, when you pray, a lot of people will pray just when there's nothing else left. You know, and for me that's become a different thing. But for me it was like just one thing, like I just want to be with my wife. I want to be happy. So now anytime something gets crazy or I start to get like fearful or money or no money, whatever, I just go, I got the one thing that I asked for. That's it. Everything else is what it will be. You know, and that's where I've tried to find, that's where I know that I'm happy. So anytime like, you know, and you guys have been in a relationship for a long time. I mean, there's things that come up like on a daily basis. We're like, God, is this right? Is that the person? You know, do I want to be in this? You know, because like I said, my thing wants to drive me to be alone, and not it doesn't want me to be happy. So I have to go, no. I know because when I was in that place and had nothing, I prayed for that. So that's what happiness is to me. You know, I have a benchmark now.
Exactly. Yeah, you create that.
Interesting.
But I think a lot of us, though, you know, and I'm sure you've talked about this with other people, and you know, I think we all go through the inner dialogue of everything. Like, what if, like, you know, what if this doesn't happen, or what if this happens, or like what's going to happen here? Like, I think we all inherently do that, and no matter where you are, because when we lost everything, none of our no one treated us differently. Which is something I've always remembered.
You had the fear that people were going to treat you differently?
I didn't have the fear that people would treat me different. I just didn't want to be... My biggest fear came true when the money was stolen.
Did you have fear of people thinking like you're an idiot or you're worthless or like, you know,
I didn't. The only thing that came to my mind was I didn't tell my parents for 4 years. I hid it from them because...
They found out because we wrote it in the book.
Yeah, before we brought the book out, I was like, there's something I need to tell you. I haven't told you in 4 years. And I was like, but I've recovered. I just know because they were both going to retire that year. And if they knew I was going through that, they would have been more panicked than I. And so that was my thing. But I was just worried about having to do that. I was like, I've worked really hard. I moved out. I didn't see my family from 2006 to like 2012. Like I've seen them a few times. I've sacrificed a lot to come out here. I made this money that's mine, that I should be able to like live a comfortable life. I never want to be like broke again, because I remember what that was at 18 out here. And then when it came true, that was more of the like, oh, this sucks. But I wasn't worried about the friends because I just felt like, you know, they would show me who they really are. Like it'd be better if people would have been shitty, then good. Then just get out of my life and I'll move on and find people who are better, like that aren't going to judge me based on success or lack of.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because getting sober is where I judged I saw what people were in a weird way.
How did it, how did that?
Did you
transpire?
Move on from like one friend group to
but I realized like what my place as a friend was too, and I think that was the big difference. Is like, I realized that like I surround myself with people who enable me to do things, but a lot of that is like, you know, like it's not like anybody was the ringleader and I was doing it. I was like, I was that guy. I was the one that was showing up. That was like, you know, please. Like, that was my form of spiritual connection with people. Was what I knew. Let's drink, let's do this, and let's have fun and love each other and be in this thing, and let's never let it end. I was terrified to let it end. I mean, my wife would tell you, like, her, when she would be done, I would want to keep going. I didn't want it to end. And it's a lot like, I think growing up, probably when you have an addict or somebody or somebody who has an addiction problem, as a parent, like you see them when they're using, and it's scary. And then you see them when they're sober, like the next morning when they're regretful and whatever, and they like pour you cereal, they make you breakfast, and you're like, oh my God, I never want this to end. This feels good. How do we keep this going? But then,
yeah,
it's like that same, like you said, from how you dealt with that, like, and I could have told you this from, when I met you, like, I think you probably have a very healthy way of coping and functioning. I function and cope naturally from the place of like a 7-year-old boy or like a 14, like, whereas in like, if something happens, if somebody gets pissed off about something or gets hurt, and like, it could be as little as like, you go to move over, like maybe you go to grab her hand and maybe she doesn't even know it, and Alyssa like pulls away for a second. You'll just be like, oh, okay, she must not have known, or whatever.
You're like, what?
I need to comment on it. I'll obsess about it.
Huh.
I'll obsess about it for hours, because it surely means that she doesn't love me. You know what I mean? Like, or it should, like, it's wild. Like,
but that shit'll drive you crazy.
Well,
man.
it does,
that,
and that's
yeah.
and
That's
it
like you
does.
got like
it
but,
did.
But you had, but that's and the worst thing that happened, and it's not the worst thing. And this, I'm like keeping this shorter than it is, but like on top of that was right after the accident too. Like there was a lot going on in our life during that time. But when I realized that her and I were together, like your point, like her and I were together. Yes, there was a mattress, and we were all like chilling, but it was all good. Like even yourself on the sailboat, you're just, like, if everything were to happen in the worst way, and you go back to a sailboat, it's like you've been there. It's like you're
But
like
even
it's
then, I was alone though. Like there's a thing, like, so I met Gina before that, and I didn't ask her out because I was ashamed. I still had shame and I still had fear, because like then, even though I was like, I'd stopped drinking at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't call it sobriety. I just was like, oh, I'm just gonna do this because I'm
so you
new age or something. I'm woke.
and then not to. I want to come back to where you were about with Gina, but like, so did you start drinking like in high school? Like, was it random? Did it ever become a daily thing? Like,
yeah, I was 14.
And it became like just a random
drugs at like 16.
Oh shit.
And then, like, my mom was gone a lot. Like my mom, she did her best. Like, she's a wonderful person. But yeah, I was seeking love and comfort from groups of friends that were, not the best influences. So I started then, and it's always been like, in my first time I ever drank, my mom called the cops on me, and I got so when they talk about addiction, like, they always say, like, from the first drink I knew, like, I mean, it was madness. Like, I got blacked out. I threw up all over the cop.
Oh God, yeah.
It was a nightmare. But it, like, on the outside, it was never a, like, I felt, because what it did was it silenced this part and this part from arguing with each other. For me, it made me feel like at peace, and especially when I found the right combination later in life, with drugs and alcohol. Man, I was like, even on the show for a long time, people didn't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I never.
Yeah,
and we worked together a lot. I feel like I never noticed that you were always
every day
had your shit together.
Yeah, no, every day. And people look the other way because you're doing good work, but like, my behavior was certainly like, that's not who I am as a person. You know what I mean? Where it's like you start to get short and you start to, stuff like that happens. But, I mean, my father was an alcoholic, so like, I grew up going like, hearing like, that guy is a piece of shit. And then, because he's an alcoholic. So like, in my mind, like, I was like, I'm never going to be that. And oftentimes you become the one thing that,
fearful.
But so I think, there's shame of something that I'm not, that I wasn't even yet. But there was shame of being, because of course I was going to be, because he's my father and blah, blah, blah. So if you have a drink, so like, I didn't learn these lessons growing up that like, you can make a mistake. Like, everything was life or death for me.
Yeah.
It was high stakes. It was either all or nothing. You're either a good person or you're a shitty person. so, like there were bits, and looking back now, like there were parts of my life whenever I would stop drinking that things would really start to work out for me. And that's the way it is with everybody who has like a chemical problem or a mental health problem. They figure, and then things start to just make sense, you know? And then we go, oh man, look how easy, look how awesome life is. Let's start doing some booze again or whatever that is. And then things get out of control and we're like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And then, so looking back now, there were periods in my life that I'm like, things made sense. And I realized, oh, that was because I wasn't using chemicals or whatever. And then eventually, it spiraled. When I lost my great grandmother, it spiraled. It's like, I was just one really bad event from, I think, kind of embracing what my superpower really was.
Damn. So anyway, then how long have you been sober?
A year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about a year and a half. Yeah.
Good for you. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's
it's really big.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Because we like our drinks and partying,
Yeah.
Who
doesn't?
And
good for you guys. I wish I could. I just can't. It just doesn't. And that's the thing. There's a level of acceptance that I have now. I'm like, I would love to, but it doesn't. But the way that what it does for me, it doesn't do the same thing for most people. Like back to the coping skills. I don't have it. Like it makes me feel like it. I drink to get rid of pain, and to get rid of feeling. Like even if it's happiness, I'll drink to be like because it's I'll for something bad or good. But it's always to not feel the way I'm feeling.
Yeah. Well, to put you in that state, because we know what that, and like there's certain times too that we'll be like, oh, like it was like the holiday or something, like there's just for whatever reason, like for 3 weeks, there's like some like stuff going on, and you drink more than you usually would, and then you end up going like, oh wow, like this is starting to take like a toll, like let's take a couple months off and you feel that difference.
Such a difference.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is just like finding a way of can you do it in moderation.
Yeah.
But I feel like anyone who's had to quit fully, there's just it's almost all or nothing, like you were saying, right? Like you don't feel like you could have just one.
No. No.
I heard that. What was that whole saying? One is or 1,000's not enough.
One's not enough, and 1,000 is no. One is too many, and 1,000's not enough.
That's the whole saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Like, but also like I don't. There was periods of time which I drank normal.
Yeah.
Like but I will always go back, and every time I do, I set the bar higher and higher. So like now to go back and to feel good, like to feel the way I like to feel, it's a massive amount.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it's not like which is good for me. I've set the bar real high where it's like having a drink doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Yeah.
But if there was a lot of things, then it'd be a little bit hard. But people often think like like alcohol and drugs is the problem. It's really not, like, and they'll say it, you hear it a lot. It's not. That was the solution for me. That made things feel good.
Yeah.
What the problem is my brain. I think differently. Things hurt more. Like, I don't want to say they hurt more because it makes it seem like my problem. It's
yeah.
I just obsess about them differently.
Yeah.
Like something. Again, like it's something as little as, I think when you grow up, certain people grow up in certain ways. You observe energy in a lot of different ways. So like, if somebody rolls their eyes at, most people be like, okay, that's fine. They're having that experience, not me. It's because of me. They hate me. They don't, and I'll obsess about it forever until, which ends with me going like, F you. You're the problem. I'm not. Look at how awesome I am. But usually at that point, I've already, the train's already left the station.
Yeah.
Gosh.
What have you found that you filled your? Because I'm sure your lifestyle has changed, right? Like maybe not going out to bars as much. Like what have you filled that need
it's
with?
Simple. Like in order for me to feel good about myself, I have to do good things. I have to show up for people, which seems like easy stuff. It's not. It's like hard work. Sometimes getting out of bed in the morning is very hard. And I was just talking with my wife about this the other day. Like, I'll go through like spurts where I'll get super depressed and I like won't want to wake up, And like, but I know that if I don't show up, if I don't do the thing, if I agree, like a year and a half ago, I would have made plans to come here and do this. The chances of me showing up on the day with you not getting a text at 11:30 going, hey, something happened, I'm not going to be able to make it, were pretty high back then.
Oh, shit.
Like now, I show up, I leave, I feel better.
Yeah.
I did the thing. It's simple. And they're simple things. I just didn't, they're not simple for me.
Yeah.
Like they say, it's simple, it's not easy. Right?
Yeah.
It's, and that's the way. And it's like, we were talking, I told you about Honey Boy. There's this line in this movie where it made a lot of sense. He was in rehab and they're like, they're talking about trying to get rid of his pain. And he's like, this pain, this thing is the only thing that I have, and you're trying to take it away from me. And I was like, man, I was like, that's it. And I think only people with that kind of issue would really go, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I think
it's really awesome, dude, that you, I know that we touched briefly before we started recording, but I think it's awesome of you to be able to share such vulnerable moments because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has a different degree, because the things that you were saying, like, I feel like I think it's just, it all depends on how we experience things.
Yeah.
But we're all similar in the sense that we deal with our demons, our fears, and I think it just resonates with different people in different ways.
Yeah.
And talking about it
it helps.
Yeah.
Having the platform to be able to share the stories, someone's going to watch it and go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah.
Well, we never really have the time anyway at work to ever talk about stuff.
There were people, Marcy knew, there were times when Marcy would clock me, and be like, she'd be like, I see you. I'd be like, oh boy. It was, it was bad in the end. Like really, really bad. But, and there, because I'd lost my great grandmother, there's a perfect excuse. Like I got to keep blaming it on that, which fills you with more shame. And then that leads into the next day. Well, now I get to do it again because I feel so bad that I did that about that. And then you make another mistake. You heard something like, coming back this time around to days, it was important for me to go, I'm just going to, almost like a working amends in a way.
Yeah.
You go back and you do the things and you show up and you leave and you don't make a stink. You just do your job. But I mean, work is another thing. Like, how I work, man. I would be, that's another thing. If a scene doesn't go well for me, it's not like, oop, there it goes. Okay, well, we tried.
Yeah.
I hate, you've seen me flip out before. It hurts, man. Because people are going to think that I'm not good. And then they're going to think that, I'm a imposter and I'm a failure and all this other stuff. And lived up to my own standards, like I thought I was doing. There were days, and this is where my ego, like, I'm all ego. Which is funny, the people that are most afraid generally are the most egotistical. But, I thought there were days I thought I was doing, like Daniel Day-Lewis type work. And then, but I was drunk,
That's crazy.
You can't sustain it. It's like, but, and also like relationships, it was important for me to go back and be able to look people in the eyes and go like, see, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Well, I will say the other day, because I probably in our lifetime have seen maybe like 10 episodes of Days. But there was one we watched not too long ago because you had a storyline coming up and you guys had like this long scene and I was blown away by the two of you. I just kept telling him like, you guys have so much freaking chemistry. Like you guys were so good. So
yeah.
I think you're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we had fun. That was good. I still haven't seen that. That's a chess scene, yeah?
Yeah. Or that
really, really
when you were playing chess with Stefano.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like just in general.
It's always easy, man. Like I just there's a just a comfort. Like I feel I don't know how to explain. It's always hard to try to explain when you're working with somebody like the because don't you have a relationship with everybody on the show or people you work with? Like some people you don't connect with at all, but you got to like make it work. Others you just have an instant connection with, and I just feel like
there's some people you don't get along with that ends up being like everybody's like, wow, that's amazing, Yeah,
and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't not get along with anybody, but there are times when I have, and people have been like, that was so good, and I'm like, really?
Well, it's funny, yeah, because there's times too I'll be doing a scene, and I'm thinking about something else, and the scene's done, and I'm just like, how is that going to turn out well when I was thinking of other shit? And then I watch it, and I'm
probably
like,
better than anything else.
yeah, I was like, look at those beats I took.
Yeah.
Like, what was I thinking there? I was thinking of other shit.
Yeah.
But I just think we do it so much that we're just hard on ourselves. Like, it turns out all great.
There's some people you work with that you're like, oh, this is like, I feel safe with this person.
Yep.
Which is like, we're like more than anything, like, you know, I think that what's changed in my work now is the way in which I listen, which is the same way I try to listen in my real life, which is actually listen. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that they do this thing where they like listen past. They pick up the beats that make that, you know, that hit what they want it to hit, you know.
Yeah.
Thinking
And
of
I have
what
to
they're
be
going to
mindful
say
of
next.
that, you know. But when you do it in your work, like, it's like Gina and I, we have this policy, like, kind of like, what do you need from me? You know, or when you're talking, I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to listen to how you feel and everything, and then I'm going to go. And then when I go, and then more oftentimes than not, you meet in the middle, which I feel like is a lot of what our work is, right? Like, you kind of want to know that you're safe, that the other person has your back, and that, you know, they're going to listen to you and your point's going to be heard, and then you're going to listen. And I feel like good acting is kind of that, you know, in a lot of cases. I mean, even when it's supposed to be chaotic with us yelling or whatever at each other.
Yeah.
You still like good at, you know, a lot of people drive an agenda with acting, but it's like, no, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear what I need to jump in on, and then I'm going to come at you. Because now, you know what I mean? And like, but I think when we work, it's just like, okay, I know you're going to show up prepared. I know you're going to do your job. And, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the same. And then you get, you know.
That was the perfect word I was looking for. Safe.
Yeah.
I just go, even on the days that you were explaining years ago, I never felt like, geez, this guy doesn't know his shit. Like, you always were, you're particular because you care about the scene. He's I think you're the most picky with continuity.
Oh,
if I had to say one
was,
actor on the show, you were like the pillow wasn't that way. And they're like, well, it's a time. You're like, but I mean, the pillow's different. It's not crooked. It's a different pillow.
Yeah. Remember on the island where they had the tree in the background, and then like they cut, and then they moved the tree.
Yeah.
In the same scene. So now they come back, and I'm like, what? You know, but that was at the height of it. That was at the height of my addiction. So like, I was grasping onto every little thing I could control, right? And I couldn't, and it just because I couldn't control that at all, it made me mad. Like, they would move, I would get in fights, and I'd be like, you know, are you kidding me? You know, but now.
But it speaks to how, though, it kind of makes sense, though, how you couldn't let things go. Like the rolling of the eyes, where for me, I'm just like, I see it's a different pillow, but I'm just like, it's not my, like, I'm just going to, I just want to do my shit.
That's not my job.
There's a lot of other people, but you're just like, no, it's important to the scene.
Yeah.
And so I always understood where you were coming from, because I'm like, but on the island, it made me think of this other. Oh God, I had a line where I go, sorry. I was like, I wish I had more stuff after the plane crash.
Yeah.
We were serving salmon on plates with actual silverware that I found from the plane. And I don't know if you remember that, but you're like there's plates and silverware. It made it through the plane wreck.
Yeah.
But you were just so upset about the line I had. I was like, sorry, I don't have more stuff for us. And you're like, I mean, you brought plates. Like, you have plates and forks. Like, what are you talking? He's like, and the salmon's not even good. Like, what is this shit?
The salmon was unedible. That was another thing. There's two things that I used to freak out the most about, because it just was what it was. This is what I could cling on to, was giving me food that isn't edible, because I'm going to eat, right? That's my job. If you give me something, I don't want to be the person, because if you look at those scenes, I was the only person that took a bite of that salmon. And I took a big bite. And I was like, and I remember after the scene, I looked at him and I was like, this isn't edible. You know, I went nuts because I was like, but in a weird way, like, now I look back, I'm like, it's hilarious, but it's also like, I feel so sad for that person, because I'm like, I felt betrayed because somebody gave me a piece of fish that I couldn't eat. I felt betrayed because somebody moved a pillow. I'm like, that was it for me. That was like, I was like, I may as well, like, it was like that Christian Bale moment when somebody walked in his eye line. I would have these freakouts, you know, but little do people know they're arguing with a 14-year-old, you know.
That's nuts, man. Well, I'm really glad that that you're feeling good. You look amazing.
Awesome, yeah.
You know, I love that you're I really hope that we can like work together more. I'm curious what what's going to come up.
And how long's your play run?
Runs 8 weeks.
8 weeks? Okay,
Yeah.
so it ends.
So it starts December 14th. We go for a week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then I think there's 2 more days before we take a break for Christmas. Then we come back, and it runs another 6 weeks.
Is there a website? What's the website?
Yeah, it's Rogue Machine Theater.net. Let me see.
If we just Google it too, people can find it. I'm actually curious the dates, because I wonder, it'd be kind of cool to bring my parents to that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm looking for I want to show them a good time. They're coming out here for Christmas when they haven't done that in I don't think ever. So I was like, I want to do fun stuff, but they might be here probably when you're not.
Have you always done theater, or is that...
It's my first play.
Really?
Well, I did a small part in a play over a weekend, which is how I became a member at this theater company, because it's a really good theater company in Venice. It's roguemachinetheater.net.
.net, okay.
And the play is Disposable Necessities, and tickets are on sale now. But it... and it was just a weekend. I just filled in. They're basically, who can learn lines really quickly? And I was like, well, I can. So my acting coach, who's a member there, told them about me, and they reached out, and then so I auditioned for this thing, and I got it, and I've just been terrified the whole time because it's so hard. It's so much.
Live theater is very different.
How long's the play in general? What's the run time?
It's about an hour and a half, I think.
But you're just straight through you have,
there's
you have to know an hour and a half of
intermission
stuff.
in the middle. So there's a 10 or 15 minute intermission, because it's a lot. I mean, it's a heavy play. The opening, it starts kind of like this. It starts like a sitcom, which just kind of loosens you up a little bit for some pretty meaningful stuff that comes in later, which is it allows you to kind of digest and go, oh my god. So you can I think if it's done right, which our director is this guy named Guillermo Cienfuegos, and he's brilliant, and the writer Neil McGowan wrote a really great play, and the other actors are phenomenal. In fact, I'm having imposter syndrome every day because I'm I don't belong with you people.
Aww.
But it's that kind of thing. If it's done right, it's going to be able to. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, and it's.
I'm excited, man. I want to come check it out. I want to support and also that story sounds incredible.
It's interesting, man. It's wild. There's this one character. She's named Philip, played by Claire Blackwelder, and it's a man. It's this Danny DeVito character, but in a young girl's body that he got because he just wanted to feel hot.
Oh my god!
And she's the best in it, man. It's good.
It's kind of like that Jumanji feeling.
It's a bit, yeah.
A little bit like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be cool, man. I really feel like we're just getting started with this convo, but we like to just do an hour. But I'd love to have you back sometime soon. Do you have time? Can we do 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's go till 2.
Okay. Love it, man.
Unless you want to be done, are you kicking me out of here, Freddie?
No, I'm not kicking you out. I just
that's enough depressing conversation for one day.
No,
but I feel like we were just getting started with everything. Because I'm really curious too. I wanted to bring it back to your wife and how you all met. I haven't really. I mean, I've heard obviously the stories, but I feel not in depth of what.
Yeah, we met in this acting class, and I remember I was auditing the class, and I saw she was in the master class at Anthony Mendoza, and I was like, I don't who that girl right there. She's great, and so I was living on the sailboat at the time. Wait, was I? I wasn't on the sailboat yet, but I had seen her. And I think she had a boyfriend at the time, so I ended up going back to the class, and I think I went every Tuesday because you could go and audit. When you first start, you have to go audit so many classes of the master class, and I went, I think every week for a year, just to check her out.
Auditing.
Oh,
yeah, I played the long game.
No.
Wow.
But anyway, so it was about 2 years after I had first seen her, met her, and I actually became really good friends with, not really good friends. I tried to befriend her friend. And as if that was my way in. But then her friend thought I was into her. And yeah, and I wasn't. And then Gina thought I was 20, a 24-year-old kid. And she's like, who's this little idiot? She would use different words, but she's like, who's this handsome little guy?
This is how long ago? 5 years? 6 years?
This is 2013, 2014.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. And then, I mean, we started dating 2014.
Okay.
So it would have been 2012 then, probably, actually, when I first met her, first saw her.
Okay.
And then 2 years, then I was on the sailboat, and I didn't want to ask her out because I didn't have any money. I was like, I couldn't afford to take her to I was making like $200 a week, maybe less, at this bakery where I was doing their bookkeeping, and it was a weird time, and ended up, I think I stopped drinking somewhere in there, for a little bit, just thinking like, oh, just get healthy, but then I lost the job. I booked this part on Hawaii 5-0, and I lost the job, and so anyway, it was like this whole experience, but I didn't have any money, so I was terrified to ask her out because I was like, she's not gonna want to date me. And then I got Days of Our Lives, and I remember like, I think I had like $50 to my name, and when I got the show, and I had texted her, or I called her. I knew I was back home, and I was with some buddies, and I was like showing them on Instagram. I was like, this is her name's Gina. She's gonna be my girlfriend. It's so creepy.
Love it.
But I was like, they're like, dude, you call her, whatever, guys get. And I was like, well, what am I gonna say? So I called her and I wished her happy birthday, knowing that it wasn't her birthday, but knowing in my mind, knowing like I'm such a manipulator, knowing that she'd be like, it's not my birthday. I'd be like, oops.
So that was the end.
Yeah. She's
Way
like, it's
to
not
break
my
the
birthday.
ice.
My birthday's in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, hi. Okay, hi, bye. And then 2 weeks later, I'd been planting the seed with some of the people that knew her, and I was like, I really like her. And, I didn't know what it was, but it was like, I knew that, I don't know whether it was lust or love or whatever you call it, but there was something driving me.
Yeah.
And then finally on her birthday, I called and I said, it's your birthday, I wanted to get it right. Can I take you out? And she said, yeah. I was like, what? And so we went out. I didn't know where I was going to take her. I had a buddy, because I didn't have any money. I literally had $150 in my name or whatever it was. And so I had a buddy that worked at the Bel Air Hotel, and I called him and I was like, hey, can you set me up with a reservation or whatever? And, what kind of hookup can I get if I bring a girl there on a date? And he's like, well, how much do you like her? I was like, I think I really like her. He's like, all right, I got you. And I was like, yeah, but what does I got you mean? Like, how much is I got you? Because I don't know, I could get really weird. Yeah. He's like, trust me, I got you. And I was like, okay, again, but how? He's like, just you pay me, maybe pay for the entrees. I was like, how much are the entrees?
The Bel Air
At the
Hotel,
Bel Air Hotel.
yeah.
So anyway, so we go. I show up. She has no idea. She doesn't even know I like her. Like, in fact, I barely talk. But we go and we sit down at this dinner, and he brings out oysters, and he brings out champagne, and he brings out any drink we could think of, and all these different things, and all these desserts. And then he takes us back to meet the chef. And Gina's like, we're not dressed up for this thing. I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. She's in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she's like, who is this guy? First off, what does he want with me? Because she'll say like, I didn't think he liked me. But so we go through it, and the whole time I'm just adding up how much all these things are costing.
Sure.
Because I'm like, okay, at this point we got to be past the hookup stage, because it was like our dinner was probably $500 to $700, or like with the drinks and everything. And then he took us back and took us into the cellar, where he served us a shot of Prohibition whiskey, which is, there's only like 3 bottles left in the world. Oh my God. And it was like $2,500 a shot. And in my mind, I'm going like, I'm terrified. I can't think of anything. I mean, she wonders why I didn't ask any questions or try to talk to her, because like I was just thinking the whole time, like, I'm not going to be able to pay for any of this.
Oh my God.
And I get the bill, and it was like $80, and I was like, so then I gave $80, and I gave the rest of my money for the tip.
Sure.
And then I think I had $1 left to my name after that first date. And now it's funny, but it's and
you
I kept
got the girl.
I kept the $1 and I got the girl.
Oh.
No way, dude. That's
So,
cool.
And then we went on 2 dates. That was our first. We went on a second date. And then I got filled with a bunch of fear, and I just started ghosting her for like a month and a half. And then it was right when we were coming up on the summer break. Remember July?
Yeah, we get those like 2 to 3 weeks.
break,
Yeah.
and I remember calling her and going like, I got this break, and I'd like to see you every day, if I can, because I'd been using work as an excuse, and it wasn't. I was to be honest with you, I was terrified of intimacy. I was like terrified, and also drinking. Like, this is another thing we talk like sex and intimacy without being intoxicated for me is a terrifying thing.
Sure.
I don't know. It's nothing but excruciating pain. I don't know why. It just is. You know? So I was terrified. I was terrified of like going on a date and not being able to be drunk and like I was like, she's in my mind, right? She was like, she was gonna try to seduce me, and I'm like gonna not be, you know, I'm gonna be terrified and I'm gonna freeze and you know, I'm gonna climax early, and then she's gonna think that I'm, you know, weak man, all this negative stuff. So I ghosted her, and then I got over that fear somehow, and then I actually think I got it, like jealousy drove me out because I think I thought she was dating other people, and she may have been, but I was like, F that, time to get out there, and so I did, and I'd seen her pretty much every day since, except you know, a few places here and there.
And so you guys got married, what, 3 years ago, I think you told me?
Yeah, October 1st, 2016. So we're coming up on our 4th year?
6 years? Next year, correct?
No.
You just celebrated 3
We just
in
celebrated our
October.
3 years,
Yeah.
so we're coming up on our 4th year. Wow. It's crazy.
Time flies. 'Cause I remember you telling me about the wedding in Malibu. Like,
Yeah,
briefly.
it was beautiful. It was the best. It was the best day of my life. It was hard. I mean, my great grandmother passed away 2 weeks before that.
Really?
For the wedding?
I'm so
Yeah, who
sorry.
like raised me. I mean, I don't know how much you knew about that, but like her and my great grandfather were like gods to me. I mean, she was probably other than Gina, my great grandmother was my soulmate. Like that. So when I lost her, and that's kind of what sent me into a big.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now it's not what there was other things, but it gave me permission.
Yeah.
To go into a really dark hole. So my poor wife, you know, she first couple of years of our marriage weren't great, so I got a lot of years to make up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's the best. I mean, and you know, it's great. Like through all of it, like our communication is completely different now. It's such a wild thing, and you realize like now I realize the way that we communicate and the relationship that we have. For the most part, I can still be pretty needy. I'm a needy person, like in general, when it comes to affection. I don't know why. I just am, and I have to sometimes be mindful that like, oh, she's a person. Maybe she's not in the mood to be like, you know, like I want to be held and like on a constant basis. But you know, so there are times like, I think even last night I was like, why, hold me. She's like, I don't want to right now. And I was like, why? But you know, like I end up through all of the stuff that I went through in the last year, and she went through, you know, I mean, oftentimes I think she probably had it harder than I did. But I ended up I have the thing that I always wanted, that I searched for with all the using and drinking, which was connection. That's all we really want. That's why, like, you know, people, when you get sober, they often, you know, you find people who are like you and that keep, you know, but you get this thing. So now, like, we have this really cool thing where, like, I'm no longer afraid to lose her, in a sense. And, like, because it just is what it is. Like, every day I wake up, I have choices to make. Am I gonna live this way and be married? Or am I gonna go give into that thing? Yeah. And give that up. And every day I have that choice.
Yeah.
And it's never an easy choice. There's some days I wake up and go, I could do that. I could give all this up right now. Maybe I would be happy. You know, and then I go, you tricky little bastard. No, you wouldn't be. Yeah. You know, and then I make the decision. But, you know, and I think her, I don't want to speak for her, but, you know, I think, she would tell you that I'm a much different person now, and she's a different person. You often find two people we choose people who are perfectly designed to help one another heal. And very rarely do we stop and listen and pay attention and worry about the other person enough to go, oh, we are. Or let me try to fix you. When you stop trying to fix somebody, oftentimes you're able to really listen and then try to help them heal. Because I was the type of person before that if I'd walk in and she was upset about something, I was like, well, what is it? What's wrong? What's wrong? because I'd be terrified, right? Surely it had something to do with me. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Please, anything I can do, blah, 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 until eventually I do become the problem. Because now she's just annoyed with me. Right. Whereas now it's now it's this thing where it's like, what's going on? Maybe I'll ask once. It's like, is everything all right? Does this have something to do with me? No. Is there anything you need from me?
Yeah.
No? Okay, you let me know then. And I let it go. And she does the same. It's about needs with each other. Like, what do you need from me? And sometimes I could say, like, I need some affection right now. I'm not embarrassed by that.
Yeah.
And she'll go, okay. Or she'll say no. She'll be like, I'm not really in the mood right now, or I'm cold, or whatever that is. I say, okay. I don't need you to make me feel better anymore. It's a plus, but I don't need it. But in that sort of thing, it's like you end up truly healing one another as opposed to trying to fix somebody. It's like, we're now, whatever stuff she had in her life, the changes I've made in my life have helped her to do that, and how she treats me and listens to me has helped me to learn that, like, oh, people will love you and not leave you and that kind of stuff. So it's really, and I think everybody chooses somebody, like, I don't want to speak for her, but her in her family, she had issues similar to what I am, what I became. So you pick people that, I think unknowingly sometimes that you think, people will say, especially when it goes wrong, you pick people that you think you deserve. And a lot of times that's when, like, it's the bad side of it,
Yeah.
But no, you pick people that you think can help you heal. And, like, in doing so, you're able to not only heal yourself, but you're able to heal the generations going forward. Because now, where somebody may not have been in my family or her family been able to get sober and make things work and come back and say, I care about you and I'll do this for you, I can. And in doing that whole thing that she had probably leading up to it, she goes, I can trust people again. Not saying I'm giving all of that,
right?
But
it's a big part of it. Yeah.
You realize that you see a different side of humanity. And in that you go, and in there all the little insecurities. So we found a really cool thing now where it's pretty easy. It's a really cool place to be.
Well, that's good. You've worked yourself to this place, and now it's
and
you're getting to that point too. Like, even for us, we're a little younger because you're 30.
I'm 34, yeah, and she's
so we're only 2 years younger. But we're getting to that point of, we have to make a decision about family. Mm-hmm. Not too soon, but next 5 to 10 years, like,
that's where we're at.
So I'm glad that you were able to. Excuse me. I'm glad that it all worked out, though, that you've grown to this point, and that are you looking for the next? You're talking about kids in the future, and
pretty soon
adding to the Flynn family.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I do. And now that the time's getting closer, I'm starting to get more and more scared because we said in February we would
start trying.
Yeah, we would pull the So, but a year ago I was talking a big game. I'm like, let's just do it now, And now that I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 months away. Now I'm the one that's getting a little bit.
I feel like there are times in our life too where we were like that.
How long have you guys been together now? Like 10 years?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
I keep track of everybody's lives.
Yeah. I love it.
2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, June or July. We don't really have a date because of how it all kind of came together, but like summer of 2011, we.
Was there ever a doubt? Like, did you guys, especially going through like the money stuff, or you're like, fuck this is too much, for each other? I mean.
No, we ever since like the accident and the money and like all that stuff was kind of like solidifying that this is going to be forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think when we were just like young, like, we had that lust and love in the beginning of like that summer where everything was just like crazy and awesome, and we were just falling madly in love, and then when those tragedies happened,
that was scary.
It can make or break you.
I remember that.
Yeah, it made us closer, and
I remember thinking, who is this wild man, Freddie?
Yeah,
I was like, this guy's on my level.
Yeah. I
was like, maybe we'll be friends, and then we started to get to know each other. I was like, nah, he's not on my. He's not one of me.
Yeah, that was just a crazy night.
Yeah. How much fear did you have in that? Like, that was scary. Like, I wasn't even a part of it, but I imagine it had to have been terrifying because it took a long time for you to rehab, right?
Yeah, I was in the hospital like 3 months.
And how much? And I don't, like, not to bring this up, but hey, it's what we're doing. Like, did you feel a lot of guilt and shit?
Yeah, it was I was feeling like so many things at the time, but that because if she was never going to walk again, or just everything that she went through in general, like you felt like crap.
Yeah.
Because everyone was screwed. Like Days was screwed, my family, my friends, like everyone from my choice that night got screwed over. So it's like I felt like I was here, and then all these other people were it was Alyssa first, it was her family, my family, and everyone went through it.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times that my mom cried just because it was so stressful, and like that's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Because of something that you did. But there's a lot of crazy stuff, dude. Like on top of her not being with it the first month, because she was like so banged up that she wasn't even really there, and then her family was like, rightly so, it was very awkward because I didn't know them very well. This was 3 years into our relationship, but they live in Florida.
Yeah.
Didn't spend much time, and now we're all in this hospital room, and she's going under for 12 surgeries, getting a new cheekbone built out of metal, having all this stuff going on. And, it was just super awkward. My back was cracked. I was in bed, and I made a call because I was like, well, I got to deal with the legal repercussions. I was like, this will be a DUI. That'll be a pain in the ass. I called a lawyer, and he was like, well, how injured's your girlfriend? And I said, well, she has, broken hip, wrist, face, like listed all the stuff. He goes, well, in the state of Ohio, that's actually agitated vehicular assault, and there's going to be a minimum prison sentence with that crime. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so he started explaining it to me. So for a good 3 months, I was going back and forth from work to here, and I was like, I'm going to go to prison. And I knew I wasn't going to go for a year because of basically my record. He's like, the most you'll do is 90 days. He goes, which is still terrible, but it's not a year.
Still, for a boy like you, that wouldn't...
It wouldn't have been good. Yeah, and it wasn't like the local jail. It was a huge felony. So, but when it was all said and done, they ended up bumping it from a felony 3 to a felony 4, which allowed the judge to be able to give me probation if he chose that was fit. And that's what I ended up getting. So thank God I didn't do any jail time. But there was a good 3 months of me being like, I'm going to prison.
Man.
Where she wasn't even walking at the time. And then once we got through all that stuff, got on probation, she had 12 surgeries over a year and a half. We started anew. I was like, I'm going to leave the show for a while. We're going to get a place in Florida. Like, it was terrible. I'm like, this is all good. I get a fucking phone call on January 5th, 2016. This is the EDD. You owe $17,000 in payroll taxes. I go, what? And then started making calls, and that's when that whole thing found out. So it was a year after all that shit went down that I found out that we had no money.
That's how you know you're not an addict and an alcoholic. Good for you. Man.
Well,
man. I would love for all that stuff to happen to me.
I was on probation. I had to go do piss test.
Yeah.
I wasn't legally allowed to drink for.
Oh, but I would have.
The 14.
Boy, I would have.
Dude, true fear is if you think you're gonna go to prison. Dude.
Yeah.
That kept me. I was going to piss. There was. I remember yet again. I'd wake up in that apartment. I'd look over like what the hell's going on in life. I'd go to Van Nuys. I'd go stand in line with my probation officer, and he'd be like, "Leo, let me see the flesh." I'd have to pull out my dick, and he'd have to watch me pee into a cup. Yep. I'd give it to him, and then I'd go drive to set and then go work for 12 hours. And it was just a really crazy... 14, 15, and 16 for me were the most 3 insane years. Just terrible horse shit.
Man, I grew up from 15 to 18. I was peeing in cups. For in and out of probation, in and out of juvie. I had 2 underage drinking and drivings when I was 16. And I remember one time I had ran away and I was using a lot of drugs at the time. And it was I knew I was gonna have to do some time for because at that age, just running away, it was kind of a product of the system where one thing happens and no matter what, you're just gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I went in knowing that I was just gonna pee very hot. I knew it was gonna be bad, and I had to go in there and I had to just look at it. Okay. And they called. I remember getting the call. I think you broke some records.
Oh my God.
For how much I had to go and do some time as a kid, and in this max security juvie. I'm like pacing.
What was that like?
I was like, I don't belong here, man. I'm like pacing in the circle in the, you know, and I remember I made this choice and I was gonna spit. I was gonna hawk loogies in this corner the whole time as my thing of defiance. Like, I don't belong here. And then like, it was gross. And this guy came in and made me clean it up. I was like, I'm not cleaning it up. And he's like, oh, you're cleaning it up. Like, this ain't that kind of place, buddy. You know? And he made me clean it up. I had to get down there and not willingly. And
that's nuts.
But yeah, I get the man. I remember the peeing in cups thing. I tried to do a bunch. I used to try to hide bleach underneath my, you know, in an area where you could try to conceal it. Never worked. Never worked. You get caught. And it was like,
yeah, you were younger though. Maybe you had a little.
I had no sense of what consequences were at the time. Like, you were facing
invincible.
Real consequences.
Yeah,
Me, I was like, you know.
It's still terrible though.
Yeah.
Like, those life lessons are just.
But you guys made it out on the other side. Like, that's, I mean.
As did you, to go from that to move out here. Like, both of you have really interesting stories because it's kind of like, very much just self-made. To come here and build a life and create what you guys have created and all of the trials and tribulations you've gone through. You too, like.
Well, you too.
I suppose. I'm just saying, like, it's, I don't know.
You maybe done the hardest work here. You learned to walk again.
Well,
I don't have that in me. Well, if I lose it once, I'm out. For real. If I lose it, I'm gone, man. I don't got it in me.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't.
That's crazy.
Man.
Yeah, it's been a. You look back and while you're going through it all, you're just like, this is terrible. But then it makes you, like, as much as I can say it's the worst time because I'd rather it not have happened, but it's some of the best things that happened to you too, because like who I am at this moment is based on every poor decision that I've ever made. And I had I was a hoodlum kid too, you know, like there was just a bunch of shit, and I finally got my stuff together. And the past 3 to 4 years has just been like, I don't even recognize who I was back then.
Right.
And so now I just want to stay out of trouble and just.
It's funny.
I can't deal with the stress anymore.
Freddie's he's so straight and narrow, man. This guy's got it all. This guy's got it all. This guy's a real adult. That's where I come from. Like, this guy's a real adult.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got some other stories for you some other time. But
next time we do the podcast.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, "Yo, we gotta check out their part 2. What are they gonna bring up this time?"
Yeah.
But I do want to thank you, dude, for your time. I appreciate you coming over and sharing all this stuff about your life. And
thanks for having me.
And
I feel like we didn't talk about much, but I'm just rambling. But I guess
dude,
it was exactly what it was supposed to be.
Exactly what it was supposed to be. Exactly. If anyone wants to come out and see Billy, you might even run into us there because we're gonna come check it out. So, but thank you all for listening. We'll be back, and then we'll hit up Billy, annoy him on social, and then so he'll come back sooner than later, and we can continue.
Just not on Twitter.
Just not on Twitter. Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.